You're listening to ArTEEtude, a podcast with artists created and produced by Detlef Schlich, a visual artist and ritual designer, living and loving in West Cork, and best known for his essay about the cause and effect of shamanism, art and digital culture. Working in the field of performance, photography, painting, sound, installations, and film, he will dive and discover with us and a weekly creative guest into the unknown and exciting deep ocean of the creative mind.
This is Detlef Schlich, and today we dive together into the unexpected and unknown deep ocean of the creative mind with myself. Yes. I already had 2 episodes before that where I reflected about my talk guests, and I already mentioned in these 2 episodes that I used this anniversary. My pronunciation sometimes is so shite. Sorry for that. To reflect about my podcast, about what is it, why I gonna do that, reflecting about my talk guests. I call them talk guests because I don't see myself as an interviewer. I don't see myself as a journalist. I see myself as a talker and as a visual artist who does the podcast. So yeah, and I'm not giving my I don't want to be considered as a professional journalist as well, you know. So that's why I talk, and for that I bought myself a great bottle of wine. Not calling the name now, but I open it. And if you want to see this bottle and how it tastes, you can watch it as well. Somehow now I made a mess here. God. Soon on YouTube, a couple of days later, then I have to edit it, and then here is this audio version. It's on ArTEEtude on YouTube. ArTEEtude on YouTube. Let's launch it. That's great. Cool. All right. I finished my last podcast with podcast artist from Utah. I introduced her just for a second. I mean, you can still watch, you can still listen to all this podcast if you want. If you're interested in one of them, they're available on every podcast host like Apple or Spotify or. And I mean, if you subscribe, you might get informed. You get a notice wherever you are, whenever you are. So that a new podcast is online. Because currently, I really don't know if I continue with this high volume podcast every Sunday, Wednesday, Sunday. Maybe I'm gonna go just for Sundays. I'm still not sure. I'm still not sure about that. Because I already have another 2 podcast ideas in my head, and I probably take the podcast production idea a little bit more serious. I don't know yet. But like I say, if you subscribe, it's not a problem. You become all the RSS feeds, and you get the signal, and then you can listen to it whenever I put a new podcast online. Yeah, my dear listeners, but thank you very much for listening as well. It is great, and I am actually this time really, really, really happy that I can speak a little bit just out of my soul without having a talk guest here. It makes it somehow easier for me as well to relax, because what I feel is when I have somebody here, so I'm always, I try. I mean, on one side, the stories are very, very, very touching, and we both, my talkers and myself, we are on high voltage, So I mean, even if I create a secret space, a sacred space, I would say, a sacred space, not sacred space, a space where people can say what they want, and where they feel just well, Even if I'm gonna do that, it takes a lot of energy, which is great, which is cool, But on top of that, it involves as well promotion and thinking about how you promote this talk guests. I still want to be fair to my guests, sensitive. I mean, you have to get it a little bit. So how far you can go with your questions, because I don't want to embarrass people.
This is
For that, I probably not would go to investigate podcasts in order to embarrass them, because I think it's very stressful. I mean, I think you then you have to be probably a journalist, because it's a very, very thin line. For instance, if you would take a fascist from a party in Austria or whatever, and you have him in your podcast, and then you have to really ask questions which are, if you give people like fascists a platform, you have to be very careful as well that you're not gonna use it for the propaganda, So for that I'm quite happy to use my podcast for an attitude, which is actually an attitude with art. Yes. Right. Sludge. I must say, it's a nice wine. Yes, I deserve it. All right. Yeah, like I mentioned, we had the episode 11 with Roxy Mary, and I continued after that. So we're gonna go back now to my episodes and to my talk guests, just for the sake of reflection and just for the sake of, 20 guests, 60 episodes. Let's celebrate that. We're gonna go to episode 12. It was with a good friend of mine. It was a singer-songwriter, Kenny Dredd, and we talked about his first years of music making in Washington, with bands like Bad Brains, Static Disruptors, and others. I just might read it for you here. So it is Dredd, and we speak about his time. I'd already mentioned that as a musician, as stage diving into the 80s Washington, D.C. punk rock scene. He recorded Go-Go Anthem, DC Groove, with Status Disruptors in 82 and toured the East Coast with Go-Go Punk's Outrage until 87. So we had a chat about that, how it was as he was working with the Bad Brains as a white guitar player in a black band, you know. So the Static D's and Outrage brought the funk to new wave clubs like CBGB and Danceteria, and had the skinheads skanking at hardcore hall shows. It was great. So Kenny Dreads, he got his stage name touring and recording with the legendary Rastafari punk shaman and Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominee H.R., the lead singer of Bad Brains. During the 80s, Kenny also promoted concerts and after-hour parties, produced records for DC punk groups, performed with Nya Bingy reggae godfather Rae McKinlay, and recorded with English punk goddess Polystyrene of X-Ray Specs. I mean, X-Ray Specs is a name, and it was a great talk. I mean, this 3 talks, you guys, you should go back to and listen to it. I mean, I'm not reading further here. I don't want to bore people if they not interested in this direction. But Kenny was great. Kenny, I really had a lot of fun with him, and really, it was actually as well one of the first talks which I recorded on Skype, I think. Yes. So you can watch it on YouTube as well. On YouTube, on my ArTEEtude channel. All right. Kenny. So that was number 12. And then now we come to something special. It's number 13. And I must say that really touched my heart. It was the way how this podcast developed was unbelievable. Maria Murakami is her artist name. Came to my Instagram account and she texted me, I love your podcast, it's great, I learn English with it, and thank you very much. And I mean, I'm sure I was flattered, you know. And I wrote back and say, thank you. So I really appreciate that. And I researched a little bit, and I realized that she was a musician, and I watched her music videos on YouTube, and they're very, very. It's really unbelievable what she and her musician Minoru Okada, her music partner, did, you know. And I thought, wow, I should do a podcast with that, you know. So I asked her, I mailed her back. I said, "Are you interested?" And she said, "Yeah," but I mean, she was a little bit shy because her English was not so advanced. She mentioned, and but eventually we made it to set up a podcast talk on Skype. And she sent me then the MP3 file, and I stitched it together, and it was good. It was really good. As well, 3 episodes. I mean, I still like my triptych thing. I don't know why the number 3 is so, why I like it so much. I don't know. So I have to think about that, and I'll tell you another time. And we had actually done a very good talk. So she is. We talked about. I have to look here and do that as well. So Maria Murakami and Minoru Okada are 2 Japanese musicians from Nagoya. The band name Second Avenue Cats was inspired by the Second Avenue in which both artists lived. There were many cats, and the musicians lived there in wild, cat-like freedom. The first lyrics Maria made is Wild Cat Blues. It's lovely. You can watch it on YouTube as well. That she made as soon as she listened to Robert Johnson, an American blues guitarist, singer, and songwriter. His landmark recordings in 1936 and 37 displayed a combination of singing, guitar skills, and songwriting talent that has influenced later generations of musicians. It was really great because I've learned a lot in this talks. I would say, we went through the beginning of her work, 7 years together with Menorah, and we went through all the obstacles and difficulties. I mean, Menorah, his computer crashed and all 27 songs disappeared, and that was really, really awful.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. Now back to the show.
And if you listen to me, hi Mao. It was great to meet you and Minoru on Skype on a way like this. And I really, 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 really appreciated it to learn your Japanese culture more through deeper, closer again, never so close again, so through this talk, I mean, dear listeners, if you're interested to watch this, you can watch this talk as well on ArTEEtude. It is watch it. You learn a lot. I think you learn a lot. So, but don't watch it if you just want to, if you're just interested in soap operas or whatever shit, So then leave it. Honestly, I mean, I think I'm so happy that I don't have any producer in my back who tells me what I have to do or not, because that's my podcast and I can invite whoever I want. And I must say, this encounter with Mao was for me very special, and so I love my podcast. Thank you, Mao. Thank you, Menorah. All right, so I go back. That was number 13. I think I can't finish it up to number 20. Maybe I continue next week again with it. I would say I'm gonna make another episode. I'll start with number 40 because there are 6 more people to introduce, and I just go to another question. And the last question from the last podcast was Mary from Italy. What's your workday like? It's in my last podcast. What does vulnerability means to you? That was Peter from London. I had it already. I go to the next now, and it is what inspires you, and it is from Francesca. She is from Ventura in California. Hi, Francesca, and thank you very much for your question. You see, guys, that's really it's lunch again. That is everything's not planned. I really thought I should do that. This 3 triptychs as a balance for all this 2020 deep talks. And I thought I could go through these 20 talks in my 3 episodes. I couldn't. So, Francesca, that's what already I'm coming closer to your question. What inspires you? I'm getting very much inspired by spontaneity, by moments. I mean, if I say if this word is so influential use in the now. Es gibt there is a band called Fehlfarben. Geschichte wird gemacht, es geht voran. We're gonna make history, but we're still developing towards this direction and not looking back too much, you know. So I try to stay positive. So actually, positive people inspire me very much. I mean, I don't mean this smiling faces and these people who preaching mindfulness, you know. So I mean, I was already thinking about that to open a Mac mindfulness, you know, so where you can buy your mindfulness hamburger and your mindfulness milkshake. And I mean, I say that it's now a little bit cynical. I say that because I have friends, they teach mindfulness, and I still wait for a book of them, you know, since 10 years. And if I mention it and say, hey, so could you be so mindful and think of my book, you know? So they're flashing and blushing, you know. That's about mindfulness, yeah. So I don't mean this mindfulness people. I mean positive people who are authentic. So authenticity. So loyalty. So a lot of eclectic different things inspire me. So for instance, the function of the shaman in digital culture. The function of the shaman in digital culture inspired me, and that's the reason why I wrote my thesis about it. Because of the fact of shamanism, art, and digital culture in general, you know. So. So that's the reason why I investigated it closely when I became a student of the Dublin Institute of Technology in 2012. That was for me a very appropriate subject, and it was really rare. And I must say, my research in quantum physics, shamanism, transhumanism nowadays inspired me a lot. So I'm getting inspired by everything what's touching me. It could be a person, it could be you know. I still keep my sensors open to the world and try to stay inspired. What doesn't inspire me is judgmental people, for instance. You see, I still try to keep my positivity so much that if I think about that, what doesn't inspire me makes me tired and sick and so on, you know. So I would say I try to stay eclectic. Positivity inspires me a lot. If it comes to art, I'm getting very much inspired. I wouldn't say that just avant-garde art inspires me, but if something has new aspects and they are authentic, you know, it inspires me a lot, you know. So I'm not very very inspired by materialistic, but by material art. A big sculpture, 20-meter sculpture, doesn't inspire me in general. it can inspire me if it's really touching, but that's not often, because then often it's more the size than the touch, you know. So metaphysical things inspire me a lot. I just ordered a book. It came yesterday, and I have to read it. It is about the friendship between Nietzsche and Wagner, and I think I find this very inspiring, because it historical wise, it's all around as well the Vienna Secession, and all around the artists around the beginning of the 20th century and the end of the 19th century. So special parts of history where I think, this is a point, inspires me a lot. I can say now, Michael McLuhan, for instance, the book, the Gutenberg Galaxy, inspired me a lot, because I consider this book really as one of the books which explains why we are where we are. I didn't read it at the time as I wrote my thesis for Shamanism, Art and Digital Culture, Cause and Effect. I read it 2 years later, but it's great. So good books, good authors, good talks, good food. And that's, I think, on this note, I would say I close the chapter for today over here, because I have to cook, and I have to enjoy my wine, and I have to celebrate this podcast. So, dear listeners, thank you very much for having me in your mobile phone, in your smartphone. As a podcaster, if you subscribe, it would be great. You can follow me as well on Instagram if you want. It's Det Schlich, DETSCHLICH, Det Schlich. Would be nice. I mean, I can't follow so many people anymore because I'm already almost on my limit. Or ArTEEtude as well on Instagram, or on YouTube as well on ArTEEtude, or on YouTube on my Cute Alien TV channel, where you can see artwork of myself. Cute Alien TV. All right, okay. Let me see. This is my good wine. All right, thank you very much, and thank you for listening. It was lovely to explain you a little bit about the background of my idea, my concepts, and stay tuned, because I might continue maybe in the next show with the last episode of this reflection. I still have how many? Still have 6 more for now. And much more questions. If you have questions, ask. On that note, I wish you a lovely night and a lovely evening, and thank you very much for listening. Bye bye. Ciao. This is a listener-supported show. I feel honored if you subscribe this show. You can follow me non-financial with the following click on one of my Instagram accounts, or subscribe the visual version of this podcast on YouTube via the link below. If you like what you hear, be sure to tune in this Sunday for the third part of this ArTEEtude audio triptych. If you want to leave a donation for a coffee or a bus ticket, just follow the donation link via the ArTEEtude podcast account. Eventually, I would like to thank, through this medium, all my members and listeners of the I Love West Cork Artists Network from all over the world. Just to remember myself that without you, this year couldn't and wouldn't happen.
to ArTEEtude, West Cork's first art, fashion and design podcast. ArTEEtude, never so close again. That was too close.